time signatures, right? We're going to review what the time signature is. Okay, so those are the numbers that you see in the very beginning, right?
Right.
The very beginning of the song. And hopefully, you'll know what it means. Okay, so all of the top numbers mean that it is the number of beats per measure. Okay, and what a measure is the vertical lines. Hey, Juan, welcome. Have a seat. Measures are vertical lines that you see that dividing the staff. This is the staff, the 5 lines that you see. These are measure lines. So in between the measure lines, the number of beats is specified by all of the top numbers. Okay, so obviously, hi Judy. You cannot know how many beats per measure you have just by measuring, actually measuring, like inches, for example, the length from measure line to measure line, right? Because there's no standard, okay, 1 inch, that means it's 4 beats per measure, and 6 inches, it's 6 beats per measure, and you know, we don't do it that way, but it would make sense to do it that way, right? So the length of the measure from one line to one line dictates the number of beats, but it doesn't work that way. The distances between them are flexible, okay? Depending on how many notes you have to fit in there. So you have to extend it a little bit if you have a lot of notes to print, right? Because you can't just squish everything in there, okay? So you need the time signature to tell you. The top number means that is the number of beats per measure, right? So in the case of 4, right here, you would label them 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. So I'll put 4, 4 there, for example. In the case of 6, 8, then the number of beats per measure is 6. So you would number them like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? And then etc., etc. You get the picture on that. Now, the bottom number is the one that gets a lot of confusion. The bottom number gives you the note that gets 1 beat. Okay? So number 4 over here at the bottom represents what kind of note? Quarter. I'm going to list them right here. 4 equals quarter. Okay? And then number 8, same thing with here. Number 8 would represent what? 8. Number 2 represents half. It would have been easier if the standard would have been this, right? Okay, there's no confusion there, right? 4, 4. So might as well draw the note right below the number instead of a number, another number, right? Because your brain has to do another conversion, okay? One more step. 6, 8, right? They should have just made this the standard. I wonder why they have to put a number down there. It's the same thing. I could write 2, 2 as this, right? I wish that would have been the case, because this would have been clearer, right? 4 beats per measure with the quarter note gets 1 beat. 6 beats per measure with the eighth note gets 1 beat. 2 beats per measure with the half note gets 1 beat. You know, right? Hi, Teresa. Okay, so now to further explain the bottom row of numbers and how it affects them. You know the standard, the quarter note gets 1 beat, so okay, and I'm not going to go over the note family tree again. Hopefully you know it by now, right? What is longer, half note or 1/4 note? Half note, that's long, okay? So to be very quick, whole note is the longest, half note is half of that, quarter note is half of that, eighth note is half of that, 16th note is half of that. That's the note family tree, right? Okay, so how would you sing this in 4/4? 1/4 note equals 1 beat, right? So that's beat 1, beat 2. This starts on beat 3 and also covers beat 4. Let's do it on the pop. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pa, pa, pa. Right? Piece of cake, right? Now what happens if I change the bottom one to a 2? Now, the half note gets 1 beat, right? Not the quarter note anymore. So let us renumber this. This starts on what beat? 1. How about this? And very good. I thought you were gonna fall into that. How about this? 3? What's the next one? 2. And it also covers and. That's it. Right? Although that would be kind of wrong because we have to add more notes here. So let's see, that and that and that. Okay, so this is what beat number? 3, and it also covers and. What beat number is this? 4, and this and. Okay, that looks kind of weird, right? Because there's a lot of half notes and quarter notes. Your mind is used to the quarter note gets 1 beat, but this is absolutely correct with the time signature saying 4, 2. 4 beats a measure, we have 4 beats, and half note gets 1 beat. So how do we sing this now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Pa, 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 pa. Right? Do that again. Ready, go. Pa, 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 pa. Right? Okay. Without looking at this, go ahead and sing it. Ready, go. Pa, 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 pa. Okay, one more time. Ready, go. Pa, 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 pa. Again. Ready, go. Pa, 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 pa. Right. Okay, remember the beat now? Without looking at it. Okay, I want you to remember it. Again, ready, go. Pa, 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 pa. Good. Okay. So I'll change this now. Back to 4/4. Okay, how do we sing that now? This is beat 1, this is and of the 1, then this is 2, also covers and this 3 covers, and the 3 this, 4 and this. Okay? Let's sing that now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Isn't it the same rhythm we just sang a few seconds ago? Isn't it? It feels exactly the same. Again, ready, go. Ba, 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 ba. Isn't it the same? It just looks a little different.
A little faster.
Okay. No, it's not really faster. We sang it at the same tempo on the last one too, right? Yeah, isn't that weird? Okay. Now, what's the difference between this and the one we just sang? Let me write it down again. That's in 4/2. This feels exactly the same as this. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Right? It just looks different. But I want you to see the relationship between each other. This starts out with 2 quarter notes, right? And a note that is longer than that. This starts with 2 eighth notes and a note that is longer than either one of those, right? Then it repeats itself, right? It copies itself here. Well, look at this. It copies itself here too, right? Then followed by 2 more quarter notes here, which is half of this, right? But over here, 2 eighth notes. However, it's also half of these. Do you see it? It's the same, what we call proportion, right? It's like in the recipe, if it calls for 1 cup in one recipe, to double it, you just go 2 cups to double the recipe, right? It's the exact same recipe. You're not altering it a bit. It's just you're doubling things. But the proportion between those 2 recipes are 2 to 1. But it's exactly the same. It's just bigger. That's all. So that's the reason why these 2 sound the same, because their proportions are equal. Did I lose anybody? Okay. Now, if it's exactly the same, then why does the composer even bother writing it either in this way or this way? I could even write this another way. I could alter the time signature and have it exactly the same, just as long as I have the proportions right. For example, I could go like this: whole note, half note, half note. Do you see? That's exactly the same thing. Maybe we should count it a little faster so it'll sound kind of the same as these, right? But again, half note, double the size, just like this. Quarter note, double the size. Eighth note, double the size. Get it? It's proportionally the same. Okay. So the reason why a composer bother writing this instead of this, even though they sound exactly the same, a half note getting 1 beat means it's bigger sounding. Okay, you would see that probably in an orchestral score. Okay, if the composer wants it big steps and nice and slow and majestic, he would write it over here. Okay, even bigger if he writes it in here, but you'll rarely see that. The composer writing it in this style. The most popular one is this. Okay, so that's the reason why they write it in different time signatures. Okay, but anyway, this is also an exercise to get you used to the relationship between notes. That's what I want to, for you to take. That, what I mean is, this is half of this, right? And this is half of this. This is half of this. Just one of it. That's what I want you to really learn. Okay? The relationship of the notes to each other. That's what I want you to learn. Okay?
Art,
Yes, question.
what will it determine those, the one at the bottom, will it determine the tempo is slower,
Yes.
lower tempo?
Yes, exactly. It's a little bit slower and heavier. It also communicates a feel, you know. And this might be a little faster. Yes, you're right. Exactly.